My partner lied about where they were for months. It started with something stupid, a coffee receipt. I remember that moment vividly, like it's a movie scene that keeps replaying in my head. The kind you wish you could skip, but your brain hits rewind every night just to torture you again. The receipt was crumpled up, half sticking out of my partner's jacket pocket. Nothing suspicious about that, right? We've all had random receipts lying around, gas, groceries, whatever. But this one was from the Bean Room, a cozy little coffee shop across town. The same coffee shop my partner, Ava, had once told me she never went to anymore because the barista there was too flirty. I wasn't snooping, not really. I'd been doing laundry and just emptied her pockets. But when I saw it, my chest got that weird, cold, heavy feeling. I checked the date. 2 days ago. The same day she said she was working late. It was only a coffee receipt, but something about it itched at my brain. Why would she lie about something so small? I told myself, it's nothing. Don't be crazy. And I almost believed it. Ava and I had been together for 3 years at that point. We'd met at a friend's barbecue. She spilled wine on my shoes. I made a joke about how I'd charge her a cleaning fee, and she laughed that laugh that makes you feel like you just won something. Our relationship wasn't perfect, but it felt solid. We had routines, movie nights on Fridays, brunch on Sundays, good morning texts when she left early. We shared Spotify playlists, inside jokes, and even that annoying thing where she'd steal my hoodie and say, it's hers now. So when the doubt crept in, I shoved it down hard. Because if I let that thought that she might be lying take root, it would eat me alive. Still, something shifted after that. I started noticing things. The first was her phone. Ava used to leave it anywhere, kitchen counter, bed, car dashboard. But now, it was always face down, always within reach. Sometimes, she'd even take it into the bathroom. One night, we were watching TV and her phone buzzed. I didn't even move, but she snatched it up faster than I've ever seen, smiled faintly and said, just work stuff. Then she tilted the screen away from me. It felt like getting punched by nothing. I didn't want to be that jealous, insecure person, but the weirdness was adding up. Then came the new cologne. It wasn't even subtle, a musky scent that didn't match her usual floral perfume. I asked, trying to sound casual, new fragrance? She smiled and said, oh yeah, my coworker recommended it. Her coworker? Since when did Ava take fragrance advice from coworkers? Still, I laughed it off, kissed her cheek, and told myself I was overthinking. I'd always been the trust until proven wrong type. But little things kept stacking up like receipts on a counter. She started staying late at work more often. At first, it was once or twice a week. Then it became 4 nights. She'd come home tired, distracted, sometimes even distant. I asked if everything was okay, and she said, yeah, just a lot of projects. I wanted to believe her, I really did. But when I called her office once just to ask if she wanted dinner brought over, the receptionist said she'd left an hour earlier. That was the night my stomach dropped. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I wanted to be sure. So I started keeping track, not in a creepy way, but just for peace of mind. I'd jot down what time she left, what she wore, what excuse she gave. It sounds obsessive now, but at the time, it felt like survival. Because if I was wrong, I was paranoid. But if I was right, my world was about to implode. One night, we were brushing our teeth together, one of those ordinary domestic things that couples do. I looked at her in the mirror, foam on our mouths, and thought, this is the person I trust most. And then her phone buzzed again. I glanced. A name flashed, Sam, a guy's name. She saw me notice and froze for half a second, just half, then turned away and said, oh, that's my boss. He's annoying. But she was blushing, and I'd never seen her blush when talking about her boss before. Later that night, I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the dark, wondering when the person you love most becomes a stranger. My best friend Liam told me I was spiraling. Bro, you're reading into everything. Chill out. She's probably just stressed from work. He was probably right. Ava wasn't the type to cheat. She was sweet, attentive, grounded. I'd seen her cry over sad commercials. She couldn't hurt a fly, let alone betray someone. But doubt is like a leak. It starts small, but if you don't patch it, it floods everything. I began noticing how she avoided eye contact sometimes, how she'd step outside to take certain calls, how she'd laugh at texts she wouldn't show me. It was like living with a puzzle that kept adding new pieces while I slept. The breaking point came on a Thursday. Ava said she had a late meeting again. I kissed her goodbye, pretending everything was normal. But as soon as she left, I felt that cold, crawling instinct in my gut. I checked the clock. Then I checked the weather. Then I grabbed my keys. I told myself I wasn't following her, just driving the same direction. Her car took the highway not toward her office, but toward the west side, a quieter area, mostly residential. She exited near the old part of town, where the roads got narrow and dimly lit. She finally turned into a neighborhood I didn't recognize. Slower streets, family homes, a few porch lights glowing. I stayed a few cars behind, heart thudding. Then she parked in front of a small white house with a blue door. No office, no coworker, just a regular home. I watched her step out, check her phone, and walk right up to the door like she'd done it 100 times before. She knocked once, and a man opened the door. Tall, maybe in his 30s, wearing a plain t-shirt. He smiled at her, and she smiled back. It wasn't the polite kind of smile. It was the familiar one. The I'm home kind of smile. My throat went dry. She went inside, the door closed. And for 10 minutes, I just sat there frozen. I don't know how long I stayed parked across the street. Maybe 20 minutes, maybe an hour. I watched the lights flicker inside the house. My hands shook so badly I had to grip the steering wheel just to feel steady. I wanted to storm in, to scream, to demand an explanation, but I couldn't, because if I did, it would make it real. Eventually, I drove home. I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I just sat on the couch staring at the dark window reflection, trying to piece together the last 3 years of my life and wondering where it all went wrong. When Ava came home hours later, she smelled faintly like the same musky cologne. She looked tired, but calm. She smiled and said, "Hey, sorry I'm late. That meeting went forever." I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "Yeah, I bet." She didn't notice the edge in my voice. She kissed my cheek, said goodnight, and went to bed like nothing happened. And I sat there in the dark, gripping that stupid coffee receipt like it was evidence in a crime scene. Because maybe it was. That night, I started a new note on my phone. I titled it, Lies. Underneath, I wrote, "The bean room receipt found 211s. Calls from Sam after 9 p.m. Left work at 6:30. Office confirmed she left at 5:15. Blue Door House. West Side. Man around 30s. I didn't know what I was building a case, a timeline, maybe just a safety net for my sanity. But I needed to know if I was crazy or if the person I loved was living a life I wasn't part of. Every instinct told me to confront her. But another voice, the quieter, scarier one, said, "Wait, watch, find out everything before you move." Because if I was about to lose everything, I wanted to know why. The next morning, Ava made pancakes. She hummed while flipping them, kissed me on the cheek, and told me to have a great day. She looked radiant, happy like someone who wasn't hiding anything at all. And I smiled back, pretended everything was fine. But inside, I was cataloging every move, every word, every inconsistency. That's when I realized something terrifying. Once you start doubting someone, you can't stop. Every smile feels suspicious. Every "I love you" sounds rehearsed. Love becomes detective work. Trust becomes evidence. And I was drowning in both. That evening, she said she had to pick up something from the office. I told her, "Okay, drive safe." And the moment she pulled out of the driveway, I grabbed my keys again. My heart was pounding, hands shaking, but I had to know. I followed her from a distance, this time careful. Headlights off when needed, keeping 2 cars between us. She drove the same route, same exit, same neighborhood. When she turned onto that street again, I slowed down. She parked in front of the same white house with the blue door. The same man stepped out, smiling. This time, she didn't knock. She walked straight in. And that's when my heart shattered for real. Because no matter what excuses she could give later, no, it's work or he's just a friend, could explain walking into that house like it was her second home. I sat there, gripping the steering wheel, feeling my pulse in my throat. I watched that blue door close again, and it felt like the door between us had shut forever. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed next to her later when she came home, pretending to be asleep while she showered and climbed in quietly. I could hear her breathing steady beside me. I could smell the same faint cologne again, not hers, not mine. My chest ached so much it almost felt physical. That coffee receipt, that tiny stupid piece of paper had been the start of everything. And now I was sitting here, with my heart torn between denial and fury, realizing the truth was closer than ever. I just didn't know what shape it would take yet. That night, one thought kept repeating in my head. If she lied about coffee, what else did she lie about? I didn't have the answer yet, but I was going to find out, even if it broke me. I thought I was catching them cheating. I didn't realize I was catching them living another life. When you think someone's cheating on you, you prepare for the pain of betrayal, but nothing prepares you for the confusion of discovering you don't even know who they really are. After that second night, watching Ava walk into that White House like she owned it, something inside me snapped. I stopped being the trusting boyfriend and became the quiet investigator. I told myself I was doing it to protect myself, but really, I was doing it because I couldn't breathe until I knew the truth. I didn't want to accuse her without proof. I needed facts, evidence, something tangible that could explain what she was doing in that house, because no matter how much I tried to justify it, nothing about it made sense. The next morning, she was cheerful again. She made French toast, laughed about a meme she saw, kissed my cheek like she hadn't just spent hours in another man's house. I smiled back like an actor in a play. Inside, I was burning. That weekend, she said she had to meet a client. I nodded and waited until she left. 10 minutes later, I followed her again. Same route, same exit, same neighborhood. But this time, I parked a little closer where I could see more. The house looked ordinary. White siding, a swing on the porch, a small garden that needed watering. But Ava didn't just visit. She belonged. I watched her greet an older woman from next door. She waved like she'd done it 100 times. The woman smiled warmly, even said something that made Ava laugh. My heart pounded. How could the neighbors know her? Ava stayed inside that house for nearly 3 hours. I sat in my car, engine off, every second stretching like an eternity. When she came out, she was holding a grocery bag like she'd been shopping or cleaning. Then she waved goodbye to that same older woman before driving off. That was the moment I realized, whatever this was, it wasn't a one-time thing. This was routine. This was habit. That night, I stared at her sleeping beside me, her hair spilling across the pillow. I whispered, "Who are you, Ava?" She didn't move. I wanted to shake her awake, scream, demand the truth, but I didn't, because something about her peaceful face scared me, like maybe the truth would destroy more than just us. So I did what I'd never imagined myself doing. I started investigating my own girlfriend. The next few days turned me into someone I didn't recognize. I checked her phone when she showered. I memorized passcodes from the corner of my eye. I searched her bag, her car, her laptop, and what I found only made things worse. There was a second phone hidden in her gym bag. Older model, cracked screen, prepaid SIM. It had one contact, S. And the messages, S, need you tomorrow at 7. Ava, I'll be there. Don't worry. Same time. S, can't thank you enough. You're a lifesaver. Ava, don't mention it. No romantic words, no sex, no, I miss you. But still, it wasn't normal. Who hides a second phone unless they're hiding something? I screenshotted everything, emailed it to myself, and put the phone back exactly where it was. The next day, she was her usual self-affectionate, laughing, asking if I wanted to try that new sushi place downtown. I couldn't even look her in the eyes. Eventually, I cracked. Hey, I said one evening, trying to sound casual. You've been working a lot lately. Everything okay? She smiled, setting her phone down. Yeah, just busy. Why? Just, you've been out late a lot. She frowned slightly. I told you. Big project. It's almost over. Where's the project? The one keeping you out till midnight. Oh, she said quickly. It's at Sam's place. My coworker. He's helping with the client presentation. Sam? I said, trying not to sound bitter. The same Sam who keeps texting you. Her eyes narrowed just a bit. You're checking my phone? I saw his name once, Ava. Chill. She exhaled sharply and rubbed her temples. Look, I get it. You're stressed. But please, can you just trust me on this one? That's the thing about good liars. They don't sound defensive. They sound tired. And she was so damn good at looking exhausted, like I was the one hurting her. I nodded slowly. Yeah, sure, I trust you, but I didn't. That weekend, I went back to the White House alone. I parked across the street, in the same spot I'd been before, camera ready this time. I took photos of her car in the driveway, the blue door, even the neighbor waving. It felt insane, like I was in some twisted version of my own life. After about an hour, the older woman from next door came out to water her plants. I rolled down my window. Excuse me? I called, pretending to be lost. Do you happen to know who lives in that house? She smiled kindly. Oh, that's Sarah's place. Sarah? I asked, pretending to think. She's, tall, dark hair? Oh, yes. Lovely girl. Always so helpful. My blood froze. Lovely girl. Yeah, she's great, I said, forcing a smile. Does she live there alone? The woman nodded. She used to, but lately her friend visits often. I think her name's Ava, maybe? They seemed close. I thanked her and drove off, heart racing so fast it blurred my vision. So Ava was Ava, and her friend was Sarah, but the neighbor thought Ava wasn't the one who lived there. She thought Ava was visiting, which begged the question, who the hell was Sarah? That night, I couldn't keep up the act anymore. When Ava came home, I was waiting. Who's Sarah? I asked, arms crossed. Her face drained of color for a second, then relaxed into confusion. Sarah? What are you talking about? The woman who lives in that White House. The one with the blue door. The one you've been visiting almost every night. She froze. I watched her brain scramble for footing. How do you said you were at work, but I've seen you. I followed you, Ava. Her jaw tightened. You what? Don't twist this, I snapped. You've been lying to me for weeks. I just want to know why. There was a long pause. She stared at me, eyes glistening, and then she broke. I was helping a friend, she said softly. Her name's Sarah. She's going through something, and I didn't want to drag you into it. What kind of something? She hesitated. Personal. Family stuff. I laughed bitterly. That's your excuse? You sneak off to another neighborhood every night, lie about where you are, hide your phone and all because of family stuff? Tears welled in her eyes. You don't understand. You're damn right I don't. She stormed off to the bedroom. I followed, but she locked the door. Through the wood, her voice came shaky. I'm not cheating on you, I swear. You just have to trust me. But trust doesn't grow in locked rooms. The next few days were a blur of tension. She acted distant, guarded. I acted normal, pretending to move on. But inside, my mind was a war zone of questions. Who was S? Who was Sarah? And why did the neighbors think Ava was just a friend? Then came the bombshell. I checked her second phone again. Couldn't resist. This time, there were photos in the gallery. Nothing scandalous, but strange. Pictures of that same house, of groceries, of medical supplies, of a dog I'd never seen before. But one photo stood out. A selfie. Ava smiling next to a woman pale, frail, wrapped in a blanket, oxygen tube in her nose. The caption read, "Family isn't always blood." The woman's name in the message thread, Sarah M. And the text told a story I didn't understand yet. Sarah, thank you for coming again. Don't tell him, please. Ava, of course not. It's between us. Who was him? I scrolled until I hit one that made my blood turn to ice. Sarah, he can't find out. Promise me. Ava, I promise. I sat there, staring at the phone, realizing I wasn't just catching Ava cheating. I was catching her hiding an entire part of her life. That night, she came home late again. I pretended to be asleep, but as she showered, I crept to her purse, checked her car keys. There was a new key on the ring, one I'd never seen before, a small silver one with a blue plastic tag. The same blue as that damn door. That's when I knew. I had to see it for myself. A week later, she said she had to leave town for a conference. I told her to take care, kissed her goodbye, and watched her drive off. The moment she turned the corner, I grabbed her spare keys. I knew where she kept them, top drawer, under the receipt. The same kind of receipt that had started this whole mess. I drove straight to that White House. It was early evening, sun dipping low, orange light spilling across the street. The place looked peaceful, quiet. My hands trembled as I walked up to the blue door. The key slid in smoothly. Click. Inside smelled like lavender and antiseptic. The living room was tidy, too tidy. There were photos on the mantle, Ava smiling beside the same frail woman from the phone pictures. But in some of them, Ava wasn't just visiting. She was part of them. Birthday cakes, picnics, Christmas trees, like she belonged to another world entirely. I moved down the hall, heart hammering. There was a door, slightly open, the one at the end. I pushed it gently. The room was dim, curtains half drawn. Medical equipment hummed softly. And in the bed was the same woman, Sarah, alive but barely. Eyes closed, breathing slow. She looked peaceful, like she was sleeping. I stepped closer, heart racing, when suddenly, "Who are you?" a voice said behind me. I spun around. Ava stood in the doorway, wide-eyed, keys still in her hand. My throat went dry. "You lied to me." Her face was pale, terrified but not of me. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. "Who is she, Ava?" She looked at the woman in the bed, tears forming. She's my sister." I blinked. "What?" "She's dying," Ava said, voice cracking. "And I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to see me like this. I didn't want pity. I just wanted something normal." I looked back at the woman, the oxygen tubes, the quiet stillness, and felt the ground shift beneath me. "You've been lying to me for months," I said weakly. Ava nodded slowly, tears falling. "I know, but not the way you think." I wanted to scream. I wanted to hold her. I wanted to believe her. But all I could do was stand there, staring at the two of them, my girlfriend and the sister I never knew existed, realizing that whatever truth I'd been chasing had already rewritten everything I thought I knew. Because this wasn't just cheating. This was something deeper, something broken, something I wasn't ready to face. And as I stood there, trembling in that lavender-scented room, one thought echoed in my head. I thought I was catching her cheating. I didn't realize I was catching her living another life. I thought I wanted the truth. But when I finally got it, I wished I hadn't. When I finally stepped through that door, I expected chaos. Clothes scattered, perfume in the air, maybe the sound of laughter that didn't belong to me. Instead, what I saw stopped me cold. The air inside that house was thick, sterile, almost hospital-like. There were framed photos on the walls, my girlfriend Ava smiling, but beside her wasn't me. It was another woman, pale, thin, with a shaved head, covered partly by a scarf. Her eyes had the kind of gentle sadness you only see in people who've seen too much pain. The pictures weren't romantic in the typical sense. No kissing, no couple poses, but they were intimate. Ava was holding her hand, spoon-feeding her soup, sitting beside her on a couch piled with blankets. There was a Christmas photo, a birthday balloon, even a shot of Ava decorating the place. I remember whispering to myself, "What the hell is this?" My body was shaking. Every possible scenario ran through my mind. Was this a sister she never mentioned? A relative? But then I remembered something. Ava had no siblings. Her parents lived in another state. And then the real horror clicked in. Ava had once told me about her ex, Lily, the one who ended things because life got complicated. She said they hadn't talked in years, but I was staring at a wall filled with moments, birthdays, smiles, small victories that told me otherwise. I didn't move for a long time, just stood there, staring. My ears rang with my own heartbeat. I could still smell Ava's perfume in the air, that specific lavender vanilla mix she wore every day. That meant she'd been here recently. There was a door slightly open down the hallway. I could hear the faint hum of a machine, a ventilator, or maybe an air purifier. I don't know. I should have left, but I couldn't. My curiosity, or maybe desperation, pushed me forward. The room was small, clean but cluttered with medical equipment. Oxygen tanks, medication trays, wires. The same woman from the photos was lying in bed, asleep. She looked peaceful, and next to her bed, Ava's jacket, neatly folded. That sight broke me in a way I can't explain. It wasn't cheating, not in the physical sense. It was worse. It was emotional, deep, real. I left the house quietly, shutting the door behind me. My mind was an explosion of questions. I couldn't drive. I just sat in the car, staring at the steering wheel, trying to process what I'd seen. How long had this been going on? Why didn't she tell me? Was I just a placeholder while she took care of someone else she truly loved? I didn't even realize I was crying until my phone buzzed. It was a text from Ava. "Ava, hey, heading home soon. Want me to grab dinner?" Dinner. After months of lies, after visiting another woman every night, she had the audacity to ask about dinner. I typed out a dozen responses, angry ones, desperate ones, but deleted them all. Instead, I just replied, "Me. Sure, see you soon," because I needed to see her face when I asked her. When Ava walked in that night, she looked exactly like she always did. Hair tied up, hoodie slightly oversized, smile easy. She kissed me on the cheek, started unpacking takeout, completely unaware that the ground beneath her was about to collapse. "So," I said casually, "long day?" She froze for a microsecond. "Yeah, crazy at work. You know how it is." I smiled. "Where's the coffee receipt from yesterday? You said you didn't have time to grab any." Her eyes flickered. That flicker told me everything. I set my phone on the counter. "Ava, where were you today?" She hesitated. "I told you, work. Then errands." I took a breath. "You were at her house." Her face went pale. "What are you talking about?" I leaned forward. "I know, Ava. I followed you. I saw everything." Her lips parted, but no words came out. Then her eyes filled with tears. "You don't understand." "Then explain it to me." My voice cracked. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been living a double life." She wiped her face, shaking her head. "It's not like that. Please, just let me explain." We sat down. She looked broken. "I didn't cheat on you," she said quietly. "I swear I didn't." "Then what the hell did I walk into?" She stared down at her hands. That woman, her name is Lily. I felt my stomach twist. Your ex. Yes, she whispered. She's sick. Stage 4 lymphoma. She doesn't have much time left. For a second, I couldn't speak. The air left my lungs. Ava kept talking, her voice trembling. When we broke up, it wasn't because we stopped loving each other. It was because she didn't want me to watch her get sick. I tried to move on. I did. And then, I met you. You made me feel alive again. But when I found out she was dying, I couldn't just ignore it. I wanted to yell, to accuse, to throw every ounce of anger I had at her. But all I could do was whisper, "Why didn't you tell me?" Because I knew you'd see it as betrayal, she said. And maybe it is, but I couldn't walk away from someone I once promised I'd never abandon. Her honesty was like a knife. It didn't sound rehearsed. It sounded raw, real, but I couldn't forgive it. Not yet. For months, I'd felt crazy, gaslit by tiny lies and half-truths. And all along, she was carrying this secret out of guilt and love. I just wanted to help her finish her treatment, Ava said. She doesn't have family. I pay her bills sometimes, sit with her when she's scared. It's not romantic. It's human. I stood up, pacing. But you lied to me. I know. You made me feel insane. I know. Do you still love her? Her silence was louder than any answer. That night, I couldn't sleep. Ava cried in the next room. I heard her whispering on the phone, probably to Lily, checking in. I hated how much I still loved her, how torn I felt between empathy and betrayal. In the morning, she left early. No explanation. So I went back to that house. When Lily answered the door, she looked surprised, but not angry. You must be him, she said softly. I nodded. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to intrude yesterday. I just needed to understand. She smiled weakly. It's okay. I figured you'd find out eventually. Inside, the air smelled faintly of lavender. Ava's touch was everywhere. Plants on the window, a new blanket, freshly made tea. She really cares about you, I said quietly. Lily looked down at her hands. She cares about a lot of people, but she blames herself for me, for leaving when she did. I told her not to, but that's who she is. She carries everyone else's pain. I sat across from her, unsure what to say. Lily looked up. You love her, don't you? Yeah, I said, my voice cracking. Then don't hate her for this. She's just trying to do right by everyone, even when it tears her apart. There was a stillness in her tone, a quiet acceptance that hurt more than anger ever could. When I got home, Ava was there, waiting. She didn't speak, just looked at me, eyes swollen, face pale. I talked to Lily, I said. She closed her eyes. Then you know. I know. We stood there for a long time. Two people who loved each other but didn't know what to do with the pieces. I don't want to lose you, she whispered. I don't know if I can stay, I said honestly. Every time you leave the house, I'll wonder if you're really where you say you are. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Then tell me what to do. I'll do anything. But there wasn't an answer that could fix it. The days that followed felt like limbo. We still lived together, still talked, but every conversation was careful, delicate. She'd leave at odd hours, claiming to be running errands, and every time my stomach knotted. I didn't follow her again. I couldn't. One night, I found a letter on the kitchen table, my name on the envelope. Inside, Ava had written, I'm going to stay with Lily for a while. She doesn't have long left, and I can't forgive myself if I'm not there. I love you, and that's real, but I can't split myself in two anymore. No dramatic goodbye. No closure, just a quiet surrender. Weeks passed. I tried to move on, but everything reminded me of her. The smell of coffee in the morning, the dent in the pillow beside mine, even the stupid lavender candle on the shelf. Then one afternoon, I got a text from an unknown number. Lily. She wanted me to tell you thank you for letting her be here with me, for understanding. Attached was a photo. Ava and Lily sitting on a porch swing, holding hands, smiling softly at the camera. And for the first time, I saw peace in Ava's eyes. Lily passed away 2 weeks later. Ava came back home looking like a ghost. She didn't say much. Just crawled into bed beside me and whispered, I'm sorry. I held her. And for a moment, all the anger, confusion, and heartbreak dissolved into something fragile and human. We didn't fix everything overnight. Some things don't get fixed. They just learn to coexist with the scars. But I finally understood what she meant. It wasn't cheating. It wasn't betrayal. It was unfinished love, meeting compassion. Even now, months later, I still think about that house. Those photos, that quiet woman who somehow changed everything without ever meaning to. People think infidelity is black and white, cheater or faithful, but sometimes it's gray. Sometimes it's love trying to heal itself in the wrong way. And sometimes the truth isn't meant to destroy you. It's meant to teach you what kind of person you really are when your heart breaks in silence. They lied to me, but maybe not for the reason I thought. It's strange how quiet the world feels after a storm. Not peaceful quiet, heavy quiet. The kind that hums in your bones, where even your thoughts sound too loud. That's what our apartment felt like after Lily's funeral. Ava was there, somewhere between asleep and awake most days. She'd drift between the couch and the bed, her eyes always distant. She'd lost weight, barely ate, barely spoke. And me, I didn't know what I was supposed to feel anymore. Anger didn't fit right. Sadness didn't either. It was something messier, a mix of love, pity, resentment, and the ghost of what used to be us. For weeks, we existed in silence. Two people under one roof, but in completely different worlds. Sometimes, I'd catch her looking at me with this guilt that made my stomach twist. Other times, she'd avoid my eyes entirely, like even facing me was a punishment. I knew a conversation was coming. The one that would, either save us or end us. I just didn't know which one I was hoping for. It finally happened one evening when the sky turned that dark orange that makes you nostalgic for things you can't name. Ava sat at the table, her fingers wrapped around a cup of tea she wasn't drinking. "Can we talk?" she said softly. I nodded, though my throat was dry. She didn't start with excuses, didn't even start with an apology. She started with the truth. "I lied to you," she said, "but not to hurt you." I didn't say anything, just let her speak. She took a deep breath. "When I found out Lily was sick again, I didn't know what to do. She called me out of the blue, crying, saying she didn't want to die alone, and I panicked. I thought if I told you, you'd think I was running back to her, that I was betraying you." She stared down at her tea, her voice trembling. "So I told myself I'd just help a little, pay a few bills, check in sometimes. Then I started going over more often. Not because I wanted her back, but because she was fading. Every visit, she was thinner, quieter, and I couldn't stand the idea of someone I once loved dying without anyone there." I swallowed hard. "And you didn't think I could understand that?" "I didn't want to risk it," she said. "I didn't want to lose you, too." Her honesty stung worse than any lie, because it wasn't selfishness that drove her. It was fear. Fear of loss, fear of breaking something good, and fear, I realized, can make people do the cruelest things for the kindest reasons. She told me more, how Lily's insurance had run out and she'd been helping cover medication costs quietly. How she'd sit with her through chemo sessions, sometimes sleeping on the couch just to make sure she didn't stop breathing in the night. How Lily, near the end, would talk about Ava's new life, our life, and say, "Don't let what we had stop you from loving again." I listened. Every word hit like a slow, heavy wave. By the end, Ava was crying. "I know I should have told you. I know I lied. I just didn't want to lose both of you at once." There it was, the full truth. And I hated that part of me understood it. Because she wasn't wrong. If she'd told me at the start, I probably wouldn't have handled it well. I would have thought it was cheating or emotional betrayal or something I needed to win against. But knowing she lied to protect me didn't make it hurt less. It made it worse. Because she decided for me what I could and couldn't handle. She'd taken away my choice to be the kind of partner who could stand beside her through it. That night, after she fell asleep, I sat in the living room with the lights off. Her phone was charging on the table beside me. For a long moment, I just stared at it. The same phone that once hid the lies that tore us apart. And I realized I could check it right now. I could scroll through the messages, the photos, the call logs. But I didn't. Not because I trusted her again, but because I didn't want to become the kind of person who lived off suspicion. I was tired of being paranoid, tired of needing proof for everything. Sometimes, proof doesn't fix you, it just chains you to the past longer. Days turned into weeks, life resumed, or something close to it. Ava started cooking again, working again. She smiled sometimes, though it didn't reach her eyes. We even went on a walk one evening, just to feel normal, she said. We walked down to the same coffee shop where it all began, that stupid receipt that had cracked open our perfect little world. It was almost poetic, being there again. She looked at the shop window and said quietly, "I still remember that day. I was there because Lily had a doctor's appointment nearby. I was too early to pick her up. So I sat there thinking about how to tell you, and I couldn't." She turned to me, tears in her eyes. That's when I knew I'd already started lying. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. Forgiveness isn't like in the movies. It doesn't happen in one big moment with swelling music and a hug. It happens in microscopic pieces over time until one day you realize you're not angry anymore, just tired. But even then, tired doesn't mean healed. Because sometimes the thing you miss most isn't the person, it's who you were before they broke your trust. And I miss that version of myself. The one who didn't check timestamps, who didn't overanalyze tone, who believed love meant honesty. That person felt gone. A few nights later, Ava finally asked the question I'd been dreading. "Do you think we can fix this?" I stared at her, the woman I loved, the woman who broke me, the woman who meant well and still hurt me anyway. "I don't know," I said truthfully. "I want to believe we can, but even when I try, I see her face, the house, the lies. It's like a movie I can't stop replaying." She nodded, tears pooling again. "I'll wait if you want time." But time doesn't fix everything. Sometimes it just shows you how far gone things really are. Weeks passed. We tried therapy, we tried space. But no matter what we did, something fundamental had changed. We laughed less, we touched less. Even when we kissed, it felt like there was a wall between us. I realized something one morning when I saw her making coffee. She was humming that same quiet tune she used to hum when she'd get ready for work. For the first time in months, she seemed okay. And weirdly, that's when I knew it was over. Because she didn't need saving anymore, and neither did I. We just needed release. That night, I packed a bag. Ava came home, saw it by the door, and her face fell. "You're leaving?" I nodded. "I think we both know this isn't working. We keep trying to love each other like before, but that version of us doesn't exist anymore." She started crying quietly, almost gracefully. "So this is it." I stepped closer, brushing her cheek with my thumb. "I'll always care about you, but every time I look at you, I see everything we tried to hide, the lies we told to protect what we already lost." She whispered, "I wish I could take it all back." "I know," I said, "but maybe this is how we move forward, separately." I moved out the next morning. No yelling, no slammed doors, just silence, the kind that comes when two people finally accept the truth. For weeks after, I'd catch myself almost texting her to share a song, a meme, something funny, but I'd stop halfway through every time. She didn't belong in my present anymore, and I didn't belong in her guilt. Months later, I found myself at the same coffee shop again. Different time of day, same old smell, espresso and caramel syrup. The barista smiled and asked, the usual. I laughed. "You still remember?" She nodded. You and your girlfriend used to come in all the time. For a second, my heart clenched. I almost corrected her, almost said, ex-girlfriend? But what was the point? I just smiled and said, yeah, we did. I sat in the same corner table as always. Same spot where I'd once found that cursed receipt, the one that set everything in motion. Funny how something so small could destroy something so big. But maybe it didn't destroy it. Maybe it revealed what was already cracked. Because love, real love, doesn't rely on lies to survive. And sometimes the truth, no matter how painful, is the only way to find out what was real in the first place. I still think about Ava sometimes, not with anger, not even with regret, just quiet understanding. She lied because she loved. I left because I did too. Two people who tried to save each other and ended up saving themselves instead. And even now, when I pass that coffee shop, I still stop sometimes. Not because I expect to see her, not because I want to relive it, but because I need the reminder. That trust isn't about never lying, it's about not needing to. That love isn't about who stays, it's about who lets go when it's time. And that one small receipt changed everything. Alright, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the story. We have so many more amazing stories coming your way, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Our goal is to reach 100K subscribers by the end of this year, and we'd love for you to be part of this journey. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.